Hi, friends. My name is Rachel Starr. I'm the owner of Rachel Rose Coaching and the host of Your Community Strategist podcast. And this week, we dropped a fantastic episode all on hosting challenges in your circle community, why they are beneficial, and basically a getting started guide to hosting challenges. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that episode, I'm going to link it here with this post as well. But I wanted to create a video and show you, just kind of pull the curtain back and show you exactly how I planned and laid out the event edit challenge that we hosted in our community in September. I had been thinking about hosting a challenge inside my community on what would be a really great way to do that and how to actually facilitate that. And so I thought I would show you what we did, what I sort of learned from that, and give you some tips to help you get the juices flowing and maybe start planning one for yourselves. I also have this really fantastic Notion template, and I have a freebie version of it that you all can download to kind of get started with your planning. So I'll drop that link for you too as well. But let's kind of dive in first and just talk about how I really started to do the planning process and envisioning how I saw the challenge going. So the first thing I did is I came up with a really great overview and summary of what I wanted to do. So, those basics, the challenge name, the duration, we did 14 days, start and end date, what's my goal and purpose, and then what's my target audience and what's the main offer. So for us, we were looking to grow our newsletter list for future sales, and our target audience are circle community builders, and our main offer is our membership, the co-op. So, with all of those things in mind, the next thing I did is I started laying out my goals for my challenge. So, I'm going to just pop over to the challenge goals section. So, here I put together what I really was looking for my challenge. Now, I 100% believe that there are five really strong metrics to look at when you're planning any challenge. And those are completion rate, community growth, engagement, conversion, and audience growth. And so community growth and audience growth are different. I had that kind of like a little question about that recently. And for me, community growth is just that members in my community. And audience growth is really what my purpose of my challenge was, which was to grow my newsletter list, social media, that sort of broader audience group. So when I set up goals, I'm tracking them basically if they're on track, are we in progress, or they're below target. I'm looking at that type of goal, and then I've got how I'm gonna measure it. So I'm measuring this one by new community members. My target is 100, and right now I'm at 39. So I launched the Event Edit Challenge as a 14-day challenge, and we were immersed in it all together. And now it lives as an evergreen product. So anyone can sign up for it and consume actually the whole thing all at once now. So that's why my goal remains in progress, because we're going to be growing over time. So now that I have my goals in place, the next step that did was I laid out the actual plan. So those milestones, what's going to happen each day of the challenge. So I defined those. I put together the plan was for each day, basically. And this is more top level. This isn't necessarily the content that I'm creating for those days, the videos I'm making, any of that sort of things. This is strictly just the planning of it. And I did mine so I could have it in a couple different views, because I liked seeing things like kind of calendar view and then also in a list view too. So once I had my goals and my milestones in place, I then headed over to my content calendar. And this is like the meat of the actual challenge itself, right? So what I did next was I actually started in with a huge list in the brain dump area. And I then kind of backtracked and filled in what days that piece of content was going to land in the challenge. So when I go and look at my list of all of my content, you'll see I have a whole lot of different types. So I've got videos and guides. I've got PDFs and checklists, workshops and exercises, and it's all customizable how you plan out your challenge. But the thought process here is that I can get a really great view of what I need to create and give myself some deadlines to get those things done. Now, the thing I also did was I tied each piece of content back to one of those milestones. So I know that this video that I created goes out on day one. So when I go in and I actually do the scheduling inside Circle, I basically have everything in place that I can just batch it. I'm a huge fan of batch work. I did an entire podcast episode on batch work. If you haven't listened to it, I highly recommend it. Batch work completely changed my work life. It made me so much more productive. And it's one of the things I recommend to anybody that I come into contact with. So then I created all of this content. So, things kind of move through the process of from going from brain dump to creating to editing to it's ready to it's scheduled. And I created all the content and dropped it all in. So I had everything in one spot. What's really fantastic about this too is that now when I look at doing future challenges or I look at revamping this one and relaunching it maybe with a new twist, I have everything already like lined out in place, organized for me to review. Okay. So, not to go unnoticed is the promotional plan. And so the next step that I look at is my promotional calendar. And I'm actually going to show you this one in a calendar view. So, what I have here are my promotions, and that is really email, direct messages, community content, those sort of messaging. And what I have is basically I have my community check ins. So, if I'm publishing something to my companion and community that I had for the challenge, I had that set up here. I also, every day, I sent out an email with, hey, there's new content available. Here you go. Now, what I love about the promotional plan is it allows me to kind of separate things and say, okay, this is actually separate content I have to create. So not only do I have to create like the meat of the challenge, but I also have to create this promotional content as well. So we're talking not just, hey, I'm launching this and how, that sort of content, but I also put in here all of my how's it going emails, my follow-up surveys, all of that lives in my promotional calendar as well. Because at the end of the day, I'm promoting engagement. And so I want to keep in mind that the content itself is the meat. It's what I'm giving them. The engagement and the nudges and all of those, that's promotion to consume the challenge. And so I keep those separated. It works well for my brain at least. So then I come back and I actually like can look at my dashboard. I've got everything in one spot and I can actually review all my promotion, all my content, what my milestones are. And then I also included all of my DMs that I created, my email, my social media posts, all that swipe copy I have in here too. So that I could easily just grab it and run when it was time for me to actually load everything into Circle itself. So now I'm going to show you how I made this work inside Circle. The first thing I did is I created a course space. And inside the course space, I laid everything out as drip content. So I have each one of my sections was a day. So I laid out day one, setting your goals. And in there, I have several lessons. I kind of front loaded day one, gave a little extra there just to get people excited. So everything dropped at, 8 a.m. on September 1st. And that was videos, that was some exercises, that was a template. All of those things became live at 8 a.m. And then what I did was for each day, I just created a new section and underneath I created lessons. And so each lesson is actually, the challenge itself. So at 8 a.m., these things became available. They're now all available, but as the content was dripping out during the challenge, each day at 8 a.m., the user could access the new content. I I opted to send all of my daily emails out of Flowdesk. So if Each morning, 8 a.m., when the new content was available, that triggered an email that said, "Hey, it's day three. Crafting compelling content is now available. Come check it out," and link them back to this space in the community itself. No, you don't have to use a third party vendor. Obviously, now with the Marketing Hub, there's even more capabilities. But I would still at this point choose to use Flowdesk. I love that I can really have a cohesive brand and feel and have everything that I work on in one spot. I just have so many freebies on my website and other sources to build my audience that I want to have everything in one place. However, you can toggle on this nice little email space here and hit save, and you can update any of this text so that when that content goes live, that this email will then trigger. So it's telling me that's already been released and whatnot there. But you do have that option. So when it came down to it, what my course really looks like is the following. So you'll see I have each one of my days, and underneath each day, I have the challenge content. So if I'm looking at day one, I can pop in, I can find that video, and I can work my way down. Each of the exercises, each of the videos. And if it were in the middle of the challenge itself, and let's say day two wasn't available, these would all show as blocked. I will say the challenge has been instrumental in helping me just learn to structure things a little bit differently inside my community. I loved using a course with a companion community that worked wonders for us, a separate space where members could come, they could talk about what they were working on, and they had access to the resources that were associated with the challenge. We decided to leave the community up and running as we have more people coming in and taking the challenge. It's not very active now that the challenge has actually ended, of course. But yeah, so I wanted to just show you all how we decided to plan our challenge, how we laid it out inside of Circle. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Drop them below, and I will make sure I stay on top of it and look at these. Like I said, we have a freebie version of this event edit challenge Notion template that we use. We have a paid version too that includes everything, but we have a freebie if you want to just kind of get started and dive in and that sort of thing too. And I'll link that up below. Otherwise, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye, friends.